Well, this will be good. Blows. I can say kids because I'm the oldest guy in the room, okay? That's an advantage you have with gray hair and longevity. No? You're older than me? Oh, good. It's about time you've admitted that. Okay. Thank you, young lady, for all your help today. You're doing great. If it goes wrong, we'll blame Deacon Stephen, okay? He's got big shoulders. He's got the collar anyway, so. All right. I only have 41 slides for you, so it'll be quick and dirty. All right. I'll try and keep it shorter than Deacon Stephen, okay? As he likes to say, he likes to get verbose. But he's a great guy. I'll keep him. Good afternoon. Welcome to section 3 of our program today. First, I'd like to start and thank you, Father Michael, and the parishioners of your parish for welcoming Deacon Stephen and myself to your parish to talk about missions and the impact it has on not only us personally, but the long-term impact on our faith. I also want to send greetings to Metropolitan Nicholas, his love and concern and prayers for you and your community. I am very proud, as I said last night, to be his representative on many, many occasions, not only in the metropolis of Detroit, but throughout the United States and internationally. And I've had the privilege of representing him, and it's been my privilege actually to serve. So thank you. And with that, we're going to start. This afternoon, I'm going to give you an overview of the Orthodox Christian Mission Center and some of the details, and I'll talk about how basically I want to have you walk away with an understanding of what we are, what we do, and the resources available to you as individuals as well as a parish to do the Great Commission and go forth and make disciples of all nations. We start with the fullness of faith, the ends of the earth. That's one of the mottos or one of the taglines that we use in the OCMC when we talk about what is our mission and what are the things we're supposed to do. Can you, next slide, please? Ultimately, we aspire to bring people onto the fullness of life in Jesus Christ. That's the end game, okay? And as I said last night, all of us are missionaries. And I say that because the moment you talk to someone else who's not as embraced with you or as engaged with you as your faith, you become a missionary. Missionary does not, as Deacon said earlier, missionary work is local, regional, national, and international. You happen to be the base where it all starts. OCMC is the place where we hope to expand and give you the opportunity to leverage and take forward even to a further direction. Next slide. The OCMC started in 1967 as an idea. It was Bishop Dumichel. He said, we should be doing something with missions and mission work and so on. So he started a small little profile down in St. Augustine, Florida. It was part of the St. Florida Shrine. And the shrine and the initial mission work went hand in hand. It did not gain any traction until 1985, when it was officially, 1985, when it was officially announced that the Greek Orthodox Church or Archdiocese would have a missions program. That was the launch. And then we bounced along, and then in 1994 is when the real traction for the Mission Center came into being, when it came under SCOBA, the National Organization of the Bishops of America, which is basically all the hierarchs, all the bishops meet regularly twice a year, 3 times a year, and the Mission Center provides a program every year. But now the importance of that, it wasn't just the Greek Orthodox jurisdiction. It was the Albanians, Serbians, Carpo-Russian, and so on. So we had 8 of us, jurisdictions in one room, all focused on where we're going to go, what we're going to do. Sadly, in today's world, we don't have the Russians with us. There's a lot of fussily, as you all know, you've read and heard about that. God willing, at some point in time, we will all be reunited again in one Holy Catholic and Apostolic Church. But that's going to take some time. But in the meantime, if you walk into an boardroom in the trustees meeting, you'll see every single jurisdiction representative. And and the other one of the ladies at lunch asked about the IOCC. The IOCC is the second Pan-Orthodox group under SCOBA. The two of us are really the only two Pan-Orthodox programs that are really going on. We have separate missions. I mention them because I was asked about it. They're in humanitarian relief. They do support us in certain cases with an archbishop in one of the other countries in parts of the world will ask us for disaster relief support. We will act as an intermediary with the IOCC to help him receive funds for his humanitarian work. So one of the more exciting things we're going to talk about later today is what I call the complete game changer for Orthodoxy, our translations division. And I'll get more into that later as we move into the program. Next, please. And as Deacon Stephen talked about, go therefore and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit, and with you always to the close of all of the age. So they're here for all time. That's on some of our plaques and so on in the OCMC Center. That's what you'll see, that's what you'll read. So that's really what we're all about. Go forth, make disciples of all nations. It's been our mantra for quite some time. Next slide, please. And it also says there's no treasure more precious than the truth that was revealed by the Word of God. Therefore, the people who suffer most in our time are those who have been deprived of the Word, not because they themselves refuse to listen, but for the simple reason that those who have known it for centuries are not interested in passing it on. Think about that. Are not interested in passing it on. We have major sections of Orthodoxy that don't want to talk about missions. Think about that. That's kind of scary because that's what we're supposed to be doing. So for us in the Mission Center, guys, we got to get going. One of the things that I heard already in our program, somebody asked, "What is the OCMC?" We've been around for 40 years. We're the best kept secret in the world. That has to change. It's been part of our profile that we get lost in what I call the Orthodox alphabet soup. OCMC, OCF, IOCC, the MGG, Goya, this and that. They're all acronyms. Okay, guys? Yeah, we're one of those. We've been looking at, do we change our name from OCMC to something else that gives us greater recognition? And actually talks more about what we are as a mission profile and a mission group. So if you pass it, please. These are some statistics that 2/3 of the world are non-Christian. 25% of the people around the world have not heard the gospel. 1/4 of Orthodox parishes in the United States support, only one quarter of the Orthodox parishes in the United States currently support missions. 1% of the Orthodox Christians in the United States are actually, only 1% are involved in missionary work. Okay? Think about 1% in the United States. And we got 25% of the world has never heard about the gospel. Do you think we got an opportunity? Pretty big one. Great opportunity for us. But the one that bothers me the most is this one here. Only 1% of the Orthodox Christian in the United States, and that's all jurisdictions. Only 1% of us talk about missions. So we've got work to do. And I think we have, in a new age with what's coming, you heard the deacon again talk about Nathan Hoppy, who's going to be our new director. Nathan Hoppy is a long-term missionary. This guy, if you met him, you go, whoa, and you haven't even talked to him yet. He is the epitome of what missions are all about. It's been 25 years in Albania. He has done more work. He's helped support other individuals. We've sent teams there to train with him and so on. Don't get me wrong, Father Martin was 30 years our executive director. Wonderful man, put a base in place. The Mission Center is financially sound. We have the ability to now start doing other things that we've never been able to do before, and I'll talk a little bit about as I get into each one of the programs, what we've been able to do. But Nathan's going to bring a different, I think, I call breath of fresh air. Not because Father Martin did anything wrong, because his lens is completely different. His lens is about being in the mission field, touching people directly through humility and programming. Father Martin's role was to build a program, build an institution that would be able to have the support and resources to reach the next level for our missionary programs. Next slide, please. Bring people to Christ, establish His church, and share the love of Christ. And this basically, these three things point to what you've heard us talk a little bit about, viable Eucharistic community. And you're one of those. As we talked about last night, you're a mission church. I love mission churches in the metropolis of Detroit. We got 5 of them. And as the one gentleman asked me last night, why do you call us a mission church? And we're getting close to that benchmark that we're no longer a mission church. Well, by doing that, it's selfish on my part, because I can continue to give you resources through the metropolis that if you were just a parish, I can't help you anymore. I can't do certain things that we get to do. So, and that again ties back to what we talk about when it's local, regional, national. Your mission church is local. And so how do you leverage your mission profile as a parish in the metropolis of Detroit, in the city of Nashville? What are the things you can and cannot do as a mission? So we're going to talk more about that, but that's what these three things relate to. Next slide, please. We bring people into the fullness of Christ through an approach to missionary work that is uniquely Orthodox. Next slide, please. Respect for the language and their culture, liturgical foundation, theology of beauty, the presence of the Holy Spirit in the different religious traditions. You have to have all 4 of those. This one's important. You have also then mastering to the whole person, the importance of local clergy, lifelong relationship with Christ. These 4 establish this relationship of the bottom 3. As Deacon said, when you go there, you have to have respect for their language. You have to have respect for their culture. And how does that fit? How do we tie to that? How do we interact with them? And one of the things that, with liturgical foundation, we have the original religion, Orthodoxy. We were first. We're still first. So we have to make sure they establish that relationship into their culture and language. Look at this place. It's gorgeous, stunning. Okay? The thing about Orthodoxy is that we bring to life, through our iconography, our iconostas, our views, our chandeliers, our edifices, the beauty of Orthodoxy. And people notice, okay? Yeah, we at times we get called, we're the church with the beautiful robes for our priests, okay? Because no one else has those. But again, it's part of the richness and traditions of us as Orthodox Christians. So we have to bring that into the profile of what we're doing in missionaries. The presence of the Holy Spirit. Everybody in this room is here today because the Holy Spirit has touched you in some way, shape, or form, because you're excited about where you're going, what you want to do, and how you want to do it. I'll talk a little bit about opening and closing doors, okay? And we have to be responsible to what door do we walk through, what door do we don't walk through, how do we do that? Well, the Holy Spirit helps us understand which one of those doors we need to walk through to serve Jesus Christ. Then we talk about mastering the whole person. And we are doing a shift, we'll talk a little bit more later, in Orthodoxy through the Mission Center, where we used to, originally when I joined the board and the trustees, missionaries. Well, and as Father Michael pointed out in St. James, you have to make sure that you take care of the whole person. If a mother's holding her child and is dying, she's not going to listen to you about Jesus Christ. Save my child. Then when you save my child, then you can save me. So what we did, we said, okay, you know what? We got to change some direction. So what did? We started building clinics, food programs, seminaries, hospitals, churches. But again, attacking, supporting, making you whole, making you a full person, making sure that your basic needs were met, and so on, so that you could understand and be open to witnessing and accepting Jesus Christ through Orthodoxy. We also understand that it's local clergy. So how do we do that? In the last 7 years, the OCMC has built 7 seminaries throughout the world. Okay? Kenya, Archbishop of Kenya last year graduated 22 seminarians. all local priests. They're going out and touching the Orthodox conversion rate in Kenya with the gentlemen that live there, born there, are part of the Kenya regime and programming, but also speak their language. So the local priest becomes just another pillar for us to work with to move forward. And then our objective is to create a long-term relationship with Christ. How do you do that? Children. If I have children in our programs, how long? That's a lifetime. I've established the ability for you to have a lifetime relationship with Jesus Christ through that. So all of these things we put back into our mix of our mission of the Orthodox Christian Mission Center. And how do we help with the children? We build orphanages. Okay? What's an orphanage do? Gives a home, stability, peace, mind, and health to young children who have been abandoned. That's missionary work. That's the Lord at his best. So again, we've taken all of these things and punched them into a bag, then ripped the bag wide open. Why do we rip the bag wide open? Because every place we go, some of this is in place, some of it is not in place. Some places we literally have to build the whole thing. Our job in the Mission Center is to find, through the work of the archbishops, okay, what do they need? Where is that on this the 7-picture roadmap? And then say to them, okay, you need help here. How do we do that? Give an example, Kenya wanted a seminary because he needed a priest. So we built him a seminary. Guatemala with Father John Chacos. Patrick, what I really need is I need this. I need the presence of the Holy Spirit. What do you want? Well, so how do we do that? He says, I need chapels. I can't build churches because of the restrictions of the Guatemalan government, but I can build chapels. So we build chapels. Chapel gives you the same presence of the Holy Spirit as we're sitting in his room today. So again, what we're trying to do is these are the resources that the OCMC brings to the table through the archbishops. You have to understand, we don't work directly. We don't show up and say, okay, here we are. We work throughout the world at the request of the archbishops throughout the world, their jurisdictions, because they're the ones that know, they're the ones that understand what they need, how they need it, when they need it, who they need it to. And our job, which is we now transition to, is okay, how do we best do that? And that's a huge transition from where we were even 5 or 6 years ago. Next slide, please. Inspire Orthodox Christians in the United States to engage in the work of the Orthodox missions and support our global ministries. We have missionaries, we have grants. This is, to me, really cool. Translations, this one is the game changer of all time. Mission priests, our SAMP program. Those are the 4, what we're now calling our cornerstone blocks of building the OCMC into the future. The SAMP program, Support of Mission Priests, that's been part of our missions program well, I've been on board for 25 years, and it was there before I showed up, okay? The whole role of the Support of Mission Priests, I believe it's in 36 countries. I think it's on one of the slides that'll come later. 36 countries and 450 clergy. What it does, this is going to sound a little crazy to you, but for $50 a month, it provides a priest with 100% of their income on a monthly basis. Think about that, $50. Some people in here spend more than on their Starbucks in 1 month than they would do for supporting a priest in a foreign land. So what and part of the SAMP is also to get them to transition to self-sufficiency. And how we started that in Uganda, several of the priests now, we bought them farms so they can raise cattle, raise sheep, goats, and through that beekeeping, okay? And they're creating their own incomes. Our objective is to have them become self-sufficient in their income profile. Does 2 things. 1, they focus on in a different direction. Number 2, they're not looking over their shoulder at what's next. They can focus on preaching the gospel and bringing people to Jesus Christ. And so our long-term, all of our missionary profiles is the long-term to make the archdiocese self-sufficient. And in that case, And recently in, I want to say, Western Kenya, we just built an apartment building, 36 apartments for the Archdiocese. They're renting them out. It will double their monthly income. Okay, one project, all right? The grants program is another extension that we've done where an archbishop will ask us, I need to do this. In one of the countries, I was in most of the stuff right now, the grant stuff is in Guatemala or in Africa. They wanted to create a retail profile for their archdiocese. And what they mean by that is they wanted to build 4 shops that they could rent out and do 2 things with. 1, have their parishioners create businesses for self-income, and number 2, provide an income stream for the archdiocese, okay? We just completed that. In less than 30 days, all 4 storefronts were taken. They're now talking about building it up again to the top. They have 4 more storefronts because it's been unbelievably successful, okay? So again, driving towards self-sufficiency, but at the request of the Archbishop. Not what we think they should have, what they know they need to have. It's a big difference. And translations, this is just unbelievable to me. We've been working on it for 8 years. Now we have text. Now think about this for a minute. In Africa, we can take the text, give it to the school children, and they're reading the liturgy in their language at the ages of 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. The priests are in the field with books, the liturgy books, written in their language, their text, and their grammar. The thing that makes it so special is that the translations are done and approved by the Archbishop. What that means is he gets the program works. They have indigenous priests that are in that archdiocese. They do all the translation text, which goes back to Deacon's statement about syntax, grammar, cultural profiles, different wording that we wouldn't have, that they have that is indigenous to them. That all gets blended into the translation. Then it gets signed off by the Archbishop. If it's signed off by the Archbishop, it's now truly the language of their jurisdiction. We have it in Spanish. Father Michael's already asked me to get him in touch with the people, our translation team, to have him support it in Spanish, because he's pretty good at that, he says. But again, think about going to Portugal, and the priests that are working in Portugal, or the missionary working in Portugal, here's the liturgy. And they open the book, it's their language. It's not Greek, it's not Romanian, it's not whatever some of the other books we've been using. It's their language. Talk about a game changer, because now I'm touching you with your language. And that goes back to one of the things we had earlier about, and one of our steps, the 7 steps, is in making sure we touch you with your language, your customs, your profile, okay? Next slide, please. This is where we serve. It's kind of difficult to see. The gospel has not been heard. The church has not been fully established. The population is largely non-Christian. We are currently active in 36 dioceses in 32 countries, okay? That represents 5% of the countries, less than 1% of all the countries in the world, okay? We got a little bit of work to do, places to go. There's places we won't go, because in today's world, we also are practical. We want you to come back alive, okay? I'm not being facetious. We won't send any missionaries to the Middle East at this point in time, because we already know that you'll be earmarked. We won't send you to China because you'll be earmarked. And that doesn't serve that serves no one well, okay? But one of the things we want to concentrate on for the next several years is Guatemala, the Central American profile, and drift in Mexico. We have Father John Chocos has been there. He's just an amazing man. He's the one that's doing the chapel work and so on. We're going to build them a seminary. We're going to build them 2 hospitals, because they're growing in leaps and bounds. And so our goal is part of our role is to identify throughout the world, where should we go? Where's the next step? You can see we have a high concentration in Africa. Most of it is in the southern part of the continent, because the northern part is still way too risky for us to have people go there and be there. When we send, and we'll talk more a little bit about it, about long-term missionaries, short-term missionaries, and Deacon mentioned teams. Okay, we want to do more of that because it's a great way to get you touched and into a profile. Because as he said, if we're really good, maybe one or two of you may become a long-term missionary of the people sitting in this room, but 50% of you may become short-term missionaries. So again, focusing on what we can and can't do, how we can do it, and what support resources we provide to you to make you be able to go do that. Because doing it is a significant part of where we're at. Next slide, please. What is a vibrant Orthodox church? A vibrant and self-sustaining Orthodox church not only nurtures to its members' faith and well-being, but also serves as a beacon of orthodoxy, rich traditions, and compassionate outreach. Last word, outreach. In the United States, we've defined our outreach as community service. That's because we don't like to use the word missionary, okay? We're missionaries. Outreach is mission work. It's feeding the poor, it's clothing them, it's helping them, it's education, it's supporting programs to uplift, entrepreneurial programs, and clothing programs, establishing additional places of worship. All of those things fit into outreach. Outreach can be done here, can be done in this building. It can be done throughout all of Nashville. It can be done throughout the entire state of Tennessee. It can be done throughout the United States. The balancing act that we have to have and that we at the Orthodox Mission Center has is our charter, our commission is international. Okay? That's why my personal profile, is why I focus on mission churches within the metropolis. I can do that legally, okay, without creating fussaria into the Orthodox Christian Mission Center. But they both need to go hand in hand. And Nathan Hoppy, he does want to figure out how, and I'm going to be one of his strongest advocates to this, how do we bring the profile, support, and resources of the Orthodox Christian Mission Center and start doing some of that support work in the United States? It's a true balancing act because the hierarchs aren't really all in sync with us on that yet. It's still a work in process. As I told Father Michael on another subject, just remember it took us 1,400 years to get to one holy Catholic and Apostolic Church. So we've got a little bit of way to go to move the needle, okay? But it's not because we're not going to try. But the importance about missionary work is outreach, whether it be in a foreign land or it be locally. And we'll talk a little bit, we'll get to a slide where we talk about how you can do that on every one of those levels. Next slide, please. You can serve from home, parish ambassadors, events, SAMP partners, financial support. These are some of the things. The parish ambassador is basically, we have 62 parish ambassadors in the OCMC today. What a parish ambassador does is they work directly with a vital link between our communities and the fostering participation with the local parishes. And they work with the OCMC team, the missionaries team, and we have a special program that gives you support. Here's what you can do as a community, here's what other communities are doing, and you become the direct conduit between the OCMC and your parish to help you grow and develop missionary programming. Events, basically, raise funds and cultivate a community dedicated to the global mission of the church. And events can be anything. When we talk about mission work and event work for missions, there's really no bad idea, okay? At least I haven't found one yet. Because if somebody thinks it's a really good idea, the bigger issue that people have when they're doing events and programming is getting a team of people to work with them to get it done, the execution side. We never lack for things to do or how to do it. The question is time and talent. And that's one of the greatest treasures we bring as servants to our church is our time and talent. I happen to be one of those guys that I don't think I've given enough yet. I'm still looking for more stuff to do with my church. My wife thinks I'm out of my mind, okay, because I'm already so involved. But at the same time, bandwidth grows because you have bandwidth. I learned a long time ago that if I want to do a new project or something, I look for the busiest person in the room to help me. because the busiest person in the room will find time to help me. Just like I'm a busy person, I'll help them. Because it's just one more thing that we're supposed to do and how we need to do it. And it doesn't, and remember, it only takes one. One. Just think about the word one. If you touch through any of these programs I've talked about and reach out to one person, you've made a significant difference in the world by touching one. Our objective, and we're blessed that we don't just touch one at a time, we touch whole communities, which is pretty exciting, but don't lose fact that one counts. One's a very, very important number, because that's how I started. My wife touched one, and here I am today. So, also, SAM Partners, I talked a little bit about that. The SAM Partnership Program is basically a financial support program and a long-term, enduring development to make them self-sufficient. It's $50 a month. That means you put a priest in an ecclesiastical Eucharist place where he can grow and develop a community, and it's $50 a month. That's a very simple thing. We have parishes that actually support 10, 15 SAM priests every single month. That's their community support for the OCMC, which is phenomenal. It's how they feel comfortable. That's what they can do. That's what they want to do. That's how they want to participate. So you know what? That's awesome. God love them. Okay. We also have mission teams, which was mentioned earlier. Mission teams, or a mission community or committee in your parish, thinks about and starts educating your parish on what missions work is, what it can and can't be, and slowly migrates into, okay, what do we want to do as a mission team? Do we want to do community outreach? Do we want to, as our long-term goal, one of our parishes, St. Mark's and Boca Raton, yes, they have resources, but they built a cathedral in Eastern Africa, now servicing 200 families, okay? And they also, with the building the cathedral, they said to the Archdiocese, we will support the priests for 3 years. And now, in the 3 years, they're going to have an amazing ecclesiastical, vibrant community. We have another group, another mission parish. Their job is to send individual missionaries on short-term missionary teams. It's $1,000 a year. That's what they want to do. That's what came out of their mission committee at their parish. And then we have everything from their SAM priest to building a cathedral, anything and everything in between. They do specific fundraisers for specific programs. They use some of the mission teams, actually the funds in their mission program never leaves their state. Because they wanted to, and I was mentioned earlier about the Appalachia program, which would be a phenomenal fit for this parish, simply because you're part of them. They're part of you. You already have a direct connection of continuity in touching one another and serving other people to get from A to B. And then there's always a financial support. As deacons, I keep calling him Father because he's ordained and it's my fault, but Deacon Stephen will remind you, and if you ask him, I'm never afraid to ask for a check. Okay? Checks are good. Okay? They're not always necessary. It's not always the most important thing, but I'm going to ask. And just because financial support works. The good news is, the other thing that's happening inside the Orthodox Christian Mission Center, we've been very blessed to have significant endowments that we've built up over the last 25 years. We're now in a financial position where one of the programs that we're starting to look at is revamping the SAMP program, but more importantly, revamping the long-term missionary program. When Deacon Stephen went out with his wife, they had to raise 100% of their goal to live in a foreign country. One of the things I'm working on with some of the people inside the missionary center is take our endowment funds, allocating funds that are interest and income to the long-term missionary financial support program to reduce their amount that they have to fundraise, the amount that they have to require and use to support them in foreign missions. If we can do that, if we can reduce that by 75%, what that does, they don't have to take a sabbatical to come home to raise money. I also want to introduce it as part of that program that we handle their fundraising directives. We do their mailings. We work with them so that they, again, they're in a foreign country developing orthodoxy in another country. Let them stay there and continue to do that work rather than financial support work. Let us do that for them. That's one of the resources we're trying to recreate and redevelop as we move forward. Next slide, please. As the Father has sent me, even so I send you. As faithful servants of Christ, we are called to expand his earthly ministry to the ends of the earth, be part of our global effort to bring people in the fullness of the Christ. Provide financial support, and I just talked about how we're trying to, within the organization of the OCMC, how do we provide better financial support to the people that we're asking to serve in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ in Orthodoxy to meet in foreign lands and foreign adversaries. Serve from home. You don't have to move. You can do it right from where you're sitting. God loves a good plan, okay? And each one of us, as Deacon said earlier today, it's individual. It has to come from you, but it's also, we're never alone. I have a community. I am so blessed. I get support from the metropolis of Detroit. And to me, I have 55 families. I have 55 homes, and this being one of them, that help me be okay. That's pretty damn powerful. But that's not my only community. I have my individual parish. I have St. Tikhon's. I have the OCF. I have St. Vladimir's. I have the Archons. All of those are part of my communities. So I got lots of help. And I teach Deacon Stephen about, he knows a guy, okay, and he laughs. You know a guy. That's why you're still a mission church, because you know a guy. Okay, you can be that guy because your community is sitting all around you. You haven't figured out yet, because the Lord hasn't given you, he hasn't given you that door yet, but it's coming. He's going to put a door in front of you and say, okay, I want you to walk through this. And you're going, ooh, do I want to walk through that or not? Ooh. And you're going to go, okay, I'm going to live in faith. I'm here to serve Christ, number one, and everyone else second. You'll walk through and you immediately go, whoa, this is really cool, okay? Because that's how missionaries touch you. Because it doesn't, and it's a process that we talked about earlier. It doesn't happen overnight. It isn't some aha moment, although in some cases that may happen. But typically it's a process. You start to understand it. You learn more, as you learn more about it, it just quietly seeps into your bloodstream and your consciousness. And then you wake up one day and go, you know what? I need to do that because that's really important. And serve abroad as a missionary, like I said earlier. Maybe one or two of you in this room might, okay? But 50% of you may become full-blown missionary profile people that work with us and your parish and the metropolis to move forward. Next slide, please. And thank you for allowing me to present our OCMC to you and what we do and how we do it and some of the changes. I do want to end with a couple of notes that with Orthodoxy, we say we're in a lane, that this is how we look at missions and so on. My family's been blessed that we've had other Christian organizations call us and ask for help. And a couple of examples, in Africa, there's an organization called Joint Aid Management. It used to be Jesus Alive Ministries. They had to change their name because of the persecution of Christians throughout Africa. They came to my family several years ago and said, we need a food program in Angola. And we said, okay, cool. Didn't come through Orthodoxy, but I was still part of Orthodoxy. And the objective was to build a food station in Angola to support feeding 5,000 children a month. It's a $375,000 project. We completed it. We kind of blew by the goal. Today, 7 years later, that food station is feeding 90,000 children a month. My point to that is that some of the missionary things that you'll be touched by or be asked to do don't necessarily come through the lane of Orthodoxy. They'll come through the lane of Christianity. They'll come through a different direction. Another one of those was that our family got asked about a program, a retreat that was being done in Uganda for the priests of Uganda. They wanted to provide 2,000 priests with Bibles. This organization support, the priests that were part of this organization, only 10% of them had their own Bible. Now go imagine thinking you're going out into service to the world and missionary work and you don't have a Bible. Okay? So we were part of that. Every single priest left that day with their own Bible. And we also have another thing in the metropolis of Detroit that I think is a great mission profile. I went to His Eminence several years ago and said, Your Eminence, we got all these parishes. And I'm giving you examples of things that are missionary related, because they are missionary related, that don't necessarily scream missionary when you first think about them or talk about them. I went to them and said, we have all these parishes. I'd like to go to the Syndesmos meeting, which is a meeting of all the priests of the metropolis, and ask them to give me their old stuff. And our old stuff, their old chalices, vestments, altar boy robes, currents, iconostas, books, Bibles, crosses. And he said, okay, you can do that. So we formed a group. The group is me, okay? And when I first started, my wife said, I started getting this stuff, she says, you know, our basement smells like a church. I said, well, that's all the incense stuff, sweetheart, but it'll be okay. But receiving these items, the first place I sent was Kenya. I received 400 crosses, wooden crosses, 3 inches by 2 inches, okay? Sent them to the Archbishop. I got a note back from the Archbishop. Patrick, thank you. It'll be the first time in the history of the Archdiocese of Kenya that every single priest went into the field with a cross. Whoa. We've provided iconostas to our mission parishes throughout the country. These chalices have gone to Guatemala, Colombia, Kenya, Uganda, Romania, Albania, Romania, Sweden. I've sent stuff to Northern Africa, to Canada, St. Herman's, and all of the seminaries. All of that because we said a simple ask, would you guys just give me your old stuff? But all of those are now being reused in Orthodoxy throughout the rest of the world, not just here, not just in the United States, but throughout the world. So when you think about things and you want to do something different, or you think, how does that affect Orthodoxy? Think about the moment that, how about when you sent crosses to Kenya, a priest who had never had one now has one. Or a priest that never can afford a vestment. What we do with St. Tikhon's, we have a room that we built and we supply that if you're an Orthodox priest, you can go to St. Tikhon's basement. There's a giant room about half the size of this sanctuary, that if you walk in, when you walk out, you have every single thing you need to do the liturgy of Orthodoxy. From books, vestments, robes, chalice, patens, whatever, you name it. And we even have an extra iconostas. If your parish needs one, we got one to give you. Okay? But again, subtle but direct. And all because somebody said, what do you think about this? So remember, when you think about what you can and can't do with missionary work, it's really the only thing that's going to limit you is what you limit yourself to be. Thank you for your time. Okay, Q&A.
Thank you, and Steve. The good news is, there's no bad news. The good news is that we are a little bit ahead of schedule. So that's going to allow us to have a conversation and take some questions or comments.
Deacon Stephen, get up here. This is for both of us.
Deacon Steve, why don't you come up? And I'd like to go ahead and get our Q&A, get our discussion started. Now, this morning, when we had a few extra minutes and we took it to speak with Deacon Steve in particular, we kept it focused on what had just been talked about. For this afternoon,
thank you, Dominique.
I think the whole weekend is a program. So everything we started talking about, starting from last night, the things we've discussed starting from last night's session to this morning's sessions to this afternoon, and then also particular missions-related questions that may have occurred to you. This is where we don't have to stick so strictly to the script of what's discussed. I hope that this has given you food for thought. It certainly has me, and so maybe that's caused to arise within you by God's prompting some little questions or queries that are bent out of the box. So this is a good time to bring all that up. So let's ask our guests some of these questions, explore some of these ideas. If something occurs to you that's even remotely related to missions, or most especially how we can apply that mission stuff here at home, let's have at it. And I guess, you lead from the front. So Deacon Steve is leading the charge. Ela Deacon.
I don't have a question per se, but I'm going. Well, all right, fine. I'll put it in a question form. Yes. No, I wouldn't be good with Jeopardy. Because you are already a great representative of short-term missions teams experience, I wonder how you can offer that to the community, because you are the spiritual leader in this community, and they simply will be benefited by knowing more of your own personal experience with Presbytera. So, it's not a question, but I'm also posing maybe how you can yourself continue this kind of conversation from your own experience. And that's a reflective sort of deal, and maybe just something I wanted to highlight, because I'm inspired knowing that you're here with St. John's community, and you have your own experiences to speak from, which are fantastic.
Well, I appreciate that. And it occurred to me when Presbytero was introducing all that information before lunch, I don't think most of my people knew any of that. I don't think most of you knew that we had been out in the mission field and we had done those things. And selfishly, part of having this retreat has been, I've been for quite some time asking myself that very question. It's something that I've wanted to be able to break out into a parish, and I had not quite found the way to get it going the way I wanted it to go. So let me tell you the other side to it. So that first foray into Honduras. So what happened was, I was in my last year at the seminary, and Father Nick Triandafilu, who is phenomenal. He was our president at the time. He's since retired. And but in any case, he was president at the time, and he was friends with some folks with a small local missionary organization from the Greek Orthodox Cathedral in Baltimore. And the priest from Honduras was there, and they all met at dinner. And he says, "I've got this Hispanic seminarian with his Peruvian wife, and you could use someone to come down and speak your language to you." He's like, "We want them to very much send someone from the school that can speak to them, not through a translator, like directly to them, as one of their own, but from our church," right? And so he sent me, and that initial trip, man, it was really impactful. There's a couple of things that were really impactful, like how much of you gets lost when you become an immigrant during turbulent times. So in all of Honduras, there is one Orthodox church, that's St. John the Baptist Antiochian Orthodox Cathedral in San Pedro Sula. And interestingly enough, right, so the people who settled it, they're Greek Orthodox Christians from Palestine. Now, they arrived there, and they quickly became business owners and were involved in commerce and so forth. That's important. So they were able to establish a community center. You would see this graffiti around town near where their centers were, because a lot of them were, by local standards, pretty well-to-do. And it said, "No a la turcocracia," no to the Turkocracy, which, as Greeks, that's what we call the Turkish rule, turkokratia. So why is that being brought up? Well, because when they arrived, the Ottoman Empire was still in power, and so they arrived with Ottoman passports. So they're pushed out of their lands in Palestine as Greek Christians unwelcome in a Muslim majority place. But they're received in Honduras as Turks. And so this is 2010, and they've got Turcocracia graffiti up around their businesses. which is wild. So who are you? Where are you? Are you a Turk? Are you Palestinian? Are you Honduran? Because all of them speak Spanish like Hondurans, and they're Honduran. And then they get together. They took me to their community center, the Arabic community center, and man, I mean, they stuffed me. I mean, the food was amazing, but they're eating Palestinian food and speaking Arabic to each other in addition to Spanish. Which thing are you? Well, the answer for so many of us, like my own household, is yes. All of the above, all at the same time. And their community very much lived in the all of the above, all at the same time. Right? So they could have kept walls around that. Their priest, he started a K through 12 trilingual school teaching Arabic, Spanish, Arabic, English, and Spanish, right? Classes daily. So that's how they keep their lights on. A small orphanage and a food to the poor program. They tried opening a clinic. When my first visit, the clinic was open. The second visit, it was closed. They just couldn't keep it open. They tried. Anyway, though, like that visit, it impacted me. It was because, like, you know, they could just be this tiny little enclave and keep to themselves and maybe survive for a couple of generations, but they're housing orphans and feeding the poor and educating the locals. So my first year as a priest, I took a group of students back there through CF. We, like Presbytera said, we plugged into a number of other organizations while we were there. But with all of that said, it's been remarkably hard to find a way to unpack not just the lessons, but the actionable items in parishes without like some real deliberate steps. Because to do mission work, you have to go out of your way. When we went to Colombia, we had to raise money. We had to put the money together. And I had to find someone to cover the parish while I was gone. And I mean, we went during summers, the kids were not in school, fine. But like there were real deliberate steps. For Honduras, there's so many steps in getting back to Honduras with those students. So many steps. And I won't belabor it with you. But I have been. It's something that it's touched my heart. I've been glad every time we've done it. It's when you're doing it, when you're actually doing apostolic work and taking the gospel out into the mission field, you do have the palpable sense of this is exactly the thing I was baptized and in my case ordained to do. Like nothing else. Like other things you have to rationalize it. You can make a spiritual struggle about washing dishes and doing maintenance around the church, and you know it's our sacrifice to do the books and the math and all of that, right? And it's valuable, but you got to remind yourself that it's important because man, it's not always fun. But you get out into the mission field, and you're translating for a bunch of poor sick women and their kids. You're catechizing. We're sitting there in a dirt yard giving catechesis in Colombia. I mean, you have no doubt beyond a shadow of anything that you are definitely doing apostolic work. Like, this is Christian life. Kind of like in the liturgy where it's like, this is where the world is sane. It's like, yeah, there's no question. This is it. This is what we should be doing. This is what we should do more of. And then you get back into the busyness of a parish, and it can be really hard to keep that moving without some deliberate steps. We went to Colombia in June of 2019, and we arrived in Nashville in September of 2019. So this is me kind of looking and saying, okay, it's time to like get some of that ball rolling. And I've got a wonderful group of people who I believe will be very receptive to the whole mission field idea. And then the question becomes, where do we start? So I thought we'd invite some expert friends to come down and talk to us for the weekend and figure out where we start. And that's something I'd like us to talk about as a community going forward. Like, what do we do? What can we do? What can we do? Of the things that we can do, which ones do we want to do, and then which ones are we going to do? Because you got to pick. You got to make choices.
They're all blessed.
Yeah, and they're all good. There's no wrong choices. They're all good choices.
No bad
so
idea.
yeah, so I guess that's it.
Questions?
So thank you. I'm trying to figure that answer out, and that's part of the reason we're here, because I want us to do something, and we've all got to get together and look at what's available and talk about it and start somewhere.
Well, it could
Yeah,
start today.
yeah, that's it. So that's
Your
it. So okay, Mindy.
Okay, so is this even on? Okay, so I can do that. So in the light of starting local, regional, and then, more and more bigger, further out. So we already do and have started doing local things. So my question is, if we wanted to go to the next level, I'm really interested to know more about the Appalachian air. Like, can you tell us more about that? Because I had never heard of that before. Sure. And if that's close by, that's worth knowing about.
Let me hand this back over. Yeah, actually, that was my first thought when he told me about it too.
Now, to be fair, and to be completely candid, as I have been, and will continue to be, but also not as concise as someone like Mr. Crosson standing next to me, I don't have experience with them, but I'm secondhand with those who have been years involved from the parish that I grew up in, a parish in St. Barbara's, Orange, Connecticut. They have an OCMC ambassador. They're involved in places like Project Mexico, sending people like myself and my wife. And also, so for them, in that community, it's and. And after I want to say, left being a young adult, going off into the world, seminary, making my life with my wife, etc., the community evolved to every year now participating in this effort. It's once a year. They have a dedicated group of Orthodox Christians coming from different parts of America, different jurisdictions and backgrounds, with young folks. So it's teenagers, because it's for the youth.
Well, we have teens, so that's part of the reason why I think we're both interested.
Sure. No doubt. And I wouldn't potentially have put it in because I don't have as much. I've done OCMC short teams. I've been a long-term missionary. I've gone to Project Mexico. I've done a couple things in between, even a focus trip to Appalachia. So I have been to Appalachia. So I want to highlight them, and I put it in the presentation because I don't know. It's in your backyard. It could really be the right step. What can I say? I know the director. I have contact with the director. I'd love to put you in contact. I know that it's a commitment of several $100s per person for every particular year. Maybe that's something where, hey, we want to sponsor however many. We'll send a team together to join with the Orthodox group of I don't know how many dozens strong for this upcoming summer, and they'll have particular projects with particular families that they're trying to develop a relationship with. So, again, this is just a more local opportunity. I know about this much. I've heard some of the testimonies of the young people. It's transformational for them. You know what I mean? I left home. I went to Appalachia. Appalachia is going to feel a little bit different. In the mountains, they have a different subculture. You get it. So
Send her the name.
I think that's the best I can do for you.
Pretty straightforward to me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and you've
send
got
him contact.
you've got the mic on.
I got the mic on.
So
I have the mic on. That's why I said it.
So Deacon Steve will put us in touch, and we'll reach out, and I'm sure they'll reach back because I know they want more help. They always do. Pris had her hand up as well.
Can you talk more about the parish ambassador position and what kind of commitment that requires and what you're looking for?
It just requires a person that wants to work with the mission center we have a whole plethora of opportunities and things and resources and materials and so on. And the ambassador works with the individual parish to say, here's the things that other people are doing. Here's the things how they've done it. Here's who the contacts are. And it gives you the tools and mechanisms for the outreach based upon what level of activity you want to be involved in. But it gives you have access to everything we have at the mission center from top to bottom. And they bring that back through the priest, to the various parishes and say, okay, here's what's going on, and we have this going on this time, we have this short-term missionary, we have these people asking for this, we have people asking for that. Here's the ideas that have been done and finished and completed with great success at other parishes throughout the country and throughout the world. So you get all of that data to then digest individually here at an individual parish. Okay?
Can I add?
Yeah, you can add whatever you want.
Pat, Mr. Crosson knows far more than I do, being involved for 25 years. But I think from my experience with the OCMC ambassador at the parish that I grew up in, these individuals can be bridges,
Right.
which in a word is also what Mr. Crosson is describing. But it really helps the community when, let's say your community took on a project abroad, like Boca Raton did. Then that ambassador becomes like the point person, the most in the know to express to the parish priests, to others, maybe the missions committee folks, to get the word out. Out of the joy of expressing,
Right.
hey, what's the good news going on, or the missionary the missionary family that we're supporting as a parish, that we're hearing about. We're going to hear from the ambassador about the news with them, even though they're sending newsletters occasionally. But the ambassador may be dialed in even more with that connection abroad.
With the grants program, for example, if you were doing something, we have two individuals that literally live in Africa that visit weekly our building programs in Africa. So they make sure that it's being done on time. And the big part, and this may sound silly to some people, but the money is being spent properly, the right people are being prayed properly, the progress is being done with the right materials, and that person directly talks to the ambassador that has that program in their parish. So those are the types of extension resources that you have to give you information, because you want to know what you're doing. How's it going? Are we going to make it? We're going to be on time? Is it going to get done? And so on. So that is another part of that. Okay?
Excellent. All right, any other questions? You got one earlier, so I'm going to give it to him first, then we'll get you.
If you were missing one piece of logistical sort of equipment, last night we were talking about a language center that would teach the missionaries the language before they went over, or something like that. If you had one big key to really kick this thing off that was missing, what would that be? Or is there one?
Are you talking about here with the mission center?
No, I was talking about last night when we were talking about missionaries going over. One of the issues was learning the language before they went, and Pat was saying, no, there isn't a language center or a place to teach priests. If something like that, I mean, is there one component that is missing that would really elevate the missionary program if they could have it here in the United States?
Do you want to, well, from my standpoint, there's two pieces to your question. Okay, the first is resetting the OCMC to use our funds to support long-term missionaries in the field to reduce their financial burden. Okay, the good news is that discussion is starting to take place. All right, that's one. The second, as Deacon said last night, we need to find a way to provide the language profile up front, not send them in what I call dark and dirty. Okay, because it's a hell of a way to learn. Okay, because you do at some point in time you will create a local cultural faux pas that somebody won't forgive you for because it was that bad and it was completely unintentional. Okay, so to me, creating, whether it's within the center, within our translation department, an ability for, if you're going to Romania, have our folks literally give you a crash course through, and you can do it through Mango language. There's a lot of great teaching tools that we should be bringing into the mission center to the moment you want to be a long-term missionary, and we're going to assign you to, I'll just use Romania as an example, you start learning Romanian. We start giving you the basics, the grammar, the syntax, and some of those nuances as Deacon talked about last night, so you don't do a faux pas. Those are the two pieces to me to answer your question. Okay. That's a people person. It's all about hiring the right people, hiring logistics, language people that understand it, and that are multilingual. Okay, but at the same time, You can find somebody who can teach just Romanian. You can find somebody who can teach you just Albanian. You can find somebody that'll teach you Portuguese. So it's finding and working with the group that can provide that resource for that individual profile and that individual group or individual or team or family that wants to go to that particular country. It can be done. Okay, we just have to. The search would be X amount of dollars. I haven't gotten to the economic side of that yet, other than, okay, guys, this is where we need to go. Okay, but yes, that would be incredible. To me, that's really important.
Okay. Do you have anything to add? Okay, Tom. All right.
Check. I was just wanting to know, we have a bunch of liturgical icons left over from the other church, and I don't know, this would be a question for Father Michael too, and our church board. We do have extra stuff here. I don't know if we need it or not. I just wanted to bring that forth as a topic of possible discussion between you.
That's him.
And you.
I know a guy.
Yes.
If he says yes, they will get dispersed throughout the world.
Yes, and that is definitely something that we, and of course the guys in the altar crew, we can take inventory on. I think among the many things we have, we can, and this is the beauty of having been together for the last 3.5 years and having transitioned to the new building, we can definitely look back and say, okay, what are we actually using and what do we not need anymore? And then we can be in touch with the relevant folks and say, hey, we don't actually need these items anymore, and there's a mission somewhere that does get them from point A to point B, and off they go to do great things where other communities.
The only thing I can't take are chandeliers. You can keep
No,
those.
God, no.
And not these, but I mean, there's people that have chandeliers in when they redo their parishes, they take the chandeliers down. I can't use those. I can use everything. I've transported baptismal fonts. Okay, that's a hoot. Transporting a marble baptismal font is really very interesting to say the least. Okay, especially when you're sending it to Germany. Okay.
Yeah, and I think a giving attitude lends itself to a lot by which was spoken today, because in our country with material wealth that we have, it's easy just to keep taking on, and then you think less about others. But with all the extras, you give it away. Hey, then you had a touch base with somebody else, a moment of interaction, a relationship built, and that opens doors, and that opens the doors of the Lord. So the giving attitude. Good for you all. It's a great thought.
And the other thing that happens with that, you'll know exactly where it goes. I will send Father a letter that says, here's where this went. This is who's using this. This is who received it, so that you know it got there. Because that's just as important as anything else, that you need to know that, wow, we went through all this giving profile and separation and this and that. Did it get where we really said? Did we really get to where we wanted it to go? And my job is to make sure it gets there, number one. And number two, to let you know it did get there safely and is being used. Because that's part two of making sure it happens. Because you're going to give me more stuff then.
Yes, I have a question. So y'all were talking a little bit about you're in talks on where we go next in the world, right? What does that look like? Can you tell us a little bit about the framework through which you make those decisions? Is it you have passionate people coming to you saying, I feel like the Holy Spirit said I need to go blank? Or is it more we're seeing a profound need? Can we find people who are willing to go?
Can I jump up, because I think this is what you mean, and it also does touch on something I'm curious on if I've got you right, and that is namely what is that baseline like? Let's say, for example, we had 6 people here like, man, we'd really love to do an OCMC trip to southern Chile. There's nothing in southern Chile right now. What's the baseline for saying, hey, we want to do a trip? Does there already have to be something established on the ground? Do you need invitation for local hierarch? How does that get started? Or do you have to plug into something that's already established? Is that kind of what you're asking? Because that's kind of how I took it. And that's also something I'd be curious about.
What happens is it's a hierarchical decision process. You heard me talk about the archdioceses throughout the world and working with the hierarchs within those archdioceses and each one of the archbishops. They give us a request, okay? That's part one. So they'll say, look, I'm in, Uganda, I really need some help with establishing this village, and I need missionaries to go to this village, or I need help with building a clinic, or I need help building one of the churches to expand with the ecclesiastical church there. Or in Guatemala, one that came from Father John Chacos, he wanted chapels. So what did we send for him? We sent construction people, short-term construction teams that were able to build the chapels for him. Okay, so that's part one. So it starts at that level. Then part two is, if you called up and says, look, we have a team that wants to go to Chile. Can we do that? We would then say, okay, let's talk. It always goes back to the hierarchy, because remember, as much as at times I bend rules to the nth degree, I'm also a protocol guy. You have to respect that we're a hierarchical church. So the guys with the hats, you have to respect them, because that's who they are, and they're my spiritual fathers, okay? So we always go back to them and say, okay, we have a team that would like to go to Chile. This is what they would like to do. If there's nothing that particular profile within them, they'll say they could point us to another hierarch, or could they say, you know what? I really like that. Let's see what we can do to accommodate and make that happen, okay? Then we'll also put it into what we call our inventory profile, where we keep track of people who contact us and say, this is what I'd like to do. And at times, there's nothing available to be able to do that. Because remember, I talked about safety. You have to be able to send you somewhere that, one, you're going to be being sponsored into a country by an archbishop is a very, very big deal, because it provides safety. Okay, now because he knows where he can send you within his jurisdictions to be okay. So if he says, you know, I would really love to do that, but I can't do that at this point in time. Okay, so that's the framework and how all that takes place. Is there a lot of discussion back and forth? We'd love to be able to say yes to everything, but we know we can't do that because there are circumstances that prevent us from doing that. But it does get heard. I think that's the other part you need to understand. It will get to the top of the pile. It will get to the director. It will be given a voice and a review. Okay, it may not always happen. But it won't happen not because we don't want to do it, it's because there's a situation that doesn't allow us to do it. So we'll put it on the shelf, and it can always come back. Okay, the only final answer you can ever get from me is a yes. Because if I tell you no, you're going to tell me, I'm going to ask you, I said no, then you're going to say, Pat, why'd you say no? Then you come back, overcome all my objections. The only answer I can end up giving is yes. Okay, so did I answer your question? And how? Okay. But that's the process.
And I do want to say on that the respecting and navigating the local situation is so incredibly important. When I was in Honduras, I loved it. It was absolutely transformative. I loved it both times. I was very happy to be there, and I enjoyed every second of it. Now, I preface that the city we went to, I didn't realize this until I was dealing with some concerned parents on the second trip, because it was college kids I took, and they read the CIA fax book, and technically, San Pedro Sula, Honduras is technically the murder capital of the world. Technically, more homicides technically take place there than anywhere else on the face of the globe. Whatever. It's it's a small thing. Now, but here's why it's a small thing. We were never in any danger. We were completely safe. Because from the time you arrive at the airport to the time you leave at the airport, you're with locals from the church every step of the way. Mm-hmm. You're with people who live there, who have their businesses there. Everybody who has 2 cents to rub together there has personal security. Their personal security is also with you. There is armed security at the hotel. It's not like a super nice hotel. It's just that's how life works down there. There's armed security at the hotel, not pistol armed security. Big armed security, okay? But that's how they live. All the neighborhoods are like that. Everywhere, that's just life. And as long as you stay with the people you're supposed to stay with, you're going to be fine. If you go in the middle of the night wandering off into the neighborhood to explore, you're not coming back. So my thing, so we felt perfectly safe the whole time. We had a wonderful experience. We even took one extra day and went to like a resort beach area. It was phenomenal. We had a great time. But we did it because we were able to have a great time because we respected the local situation. We stayed with our hosts. We did the activities we were supposed to do. We were where we were supposed to be. We remained as a group, and everybody got home happy and healthy. So that's the other thing. It's you have to know, yes, I'm here doing this awesome trip. It's not a movie. You got to be respectful of the reality that you're in because you don't live there. You stick with the people who do live there, and you're going to go home just fine. That's, yeah.
And to corroborate, I had 5 weeks the end of my discernment process, because sometimes the mind just doesn't get with the heart program, and the Lord's already spoken, and my mind just anyway needs time to really remove itself from the equation. So in the process of discernment for missionary work as a vocation, meaning I know I'm going to go somewhere. The last of several short trips was a solo trip, not with OCMC, not with Project Mexico, nothing. I went down to be with a really charismatic and inspirational man who was at the time, because he's reposed, Father Andres Giron, who was in Guatemala, etc., serving the current population of Orthodox Christians that had been with him from Catholicism and then almost en masse entered Orthodoxy. And that's sort of how we have the modern day explosion of Orthodoxy in Guatemala. And primarily from this one inspirational man. Former Catholic cleric, now Orthodox. I went down to spend 5 weeks in country, 2 weeks were with him. And there's some real challenges to being down there. Armed guards everywhere. So now where I grew up, I don't have that security of being in the U.S., but I being with locals, knowing my boundaries and staying in those lanes, I was deeply transformed in that period of time. Deeply transformed. And there was nothing left to be understood after that for me, and that was part of my vocational process.
And that's part of why doing something like this through proper channels and with proper steps is so important, because all of the proper steps ensure that everybody not only stays safe, but is actually able to do what they need to do effectively. Because the people who live there also know how to make the last minute pivots that get more value out of the trip. There was a local organization dealing with kids with Down syndrome that we were able to plug into, which if you think the resources here for Down syndrome are low, try Honduras. And that was actually a last minute addition to the itinerary, but it came together and it worked really well, and we had space in the schedule and it worked really well. Well, Father Jorge and the other people there, they knew how to plug that in. They knew how to make it work. So all of that planning, a well-planned mission trip is going to be a very fruitful mission trip. It's going to be excellent for everyone involved. It's not the sort of thing you slap together over the course of a weekend. This takes months of planning, but it's worth every second of it. You will not regret a second of it, especially if it's well done. So yeah.
Do you guys have a list if a parish wanted to see if there was something that you had that was ready to go? Maybe a parish wanted to. Do you have a list of things that need to be done? For instance, if a parish was to say, hey, here's a short-term missionary, we want to send a team somewhere that has a need. Is there something that you guys have pulled together that, a parish could look at and go, hey, we've got a group of people that could do this in this place, whatever that may be?
Yes and no. Okay. Yes, because I can give you a list of the things that we support in terms of short-term missionaries, who we're working with, currently working with, what they're looking for. And part of what we do is we're not a dictate profile. We're a reception profile. Because you know more of what you want to do and how you want to do it and what's touched you, okay? And I'm not being facetious at all, but we can provide you the direct. You want to do a short-term missionary profile? I can give you 5 countries. We can do that in tomorrow. Okay? You want to do something other than that? Then I got to go through the process and say, okay, where are we at? Who wants to do this? If you want to do support in, like, say, Guatemala, I can arrange to have that happen. Okay? So we do have lists. I can get those to Father without any problem at all. I can provide those. And then the other part of that is Okay, here's other things that we're working with. We can give you the working on list. Okay, here's where we're trying to put this together. One of the things that we didn't talk about is the medical teams. Okay, Father John Dacus, who was our medical team director on the board, died. God rest his soul. He's a phenomenal guy. And we no longer have medical teams going to our countries, okay? And it's a huge disconnect. It's like a hole in the wall, okay? Because the medical, as we talked about earlier, you got to take care of the whole body. Got to make sure that you're safe, you're healthy, and healthy in third world countries is a really, really big deal, okay? The last medical team we sent was 8 years ago. They spent 4 days and saw 7,000 people, okay? The people that came, some of them came 2 days walking journey so they could see a physician. So that hole still exists, okay? It's a huge hole. We're trying to reestablish, we've got 2 doctors we're talking to that we're trying to get them on our board so that they can then, okay, when we can now provide resources to them to expand that program, okay? But going back to your question, we can provide those lists, okay? But a lot of it also will be looking at you to say, what would you like to do with Father as part of your mission profile for your parish? Okay.
We have 5 more minutes before, so let's go ahead and take one more. You know what? We'll fit you both in. So
I'm going to be here tomorrow as well.
Yes, and
after
yes,
liturgy, so I'll be here for. So if you have additional questions for me, he's leaving because he's got.
Your flight is delayed, so yeah, that's true.
You got more time.
Okay, good. Then that's how we'll get both of you.
This guy
So
called Metropolitan
he beats you
Nicholas,
slightly with the hands. so-
Okay, and he's serving with him tomorrow, so we really can't. Well, we could keep him late, but I'd catch a lot of caca for it if I do. Yes, sir.
What temptation surprised you the most on being a missionary? What's a temptation that surprises you? Like you didn't.
What's the question?
What he wants to know, what unexpected temptation surprised you the most in missionary? What do you mean by temptations?
Like, is it like, do some missionaries get like laziness sometimes, or like procrastination, like, for example?
Okay, all right. So what sort of inner malaise might get in the way of successful mission work the most? Not bad.
All the temptations by which I'm hit with and I'm working through on a personal level, they still exist wherever I am, and so that personal spiritual battle still exists. You still need to be quite sober. You need to be especially sober and especially vigilant when you're serving out there in the world. You make a faux pas that scandalizes or hurts people, your witness may take a great hit, and it's over and against the whole thrust of you being there in the first place. So you have to be on guard, first thing. Second thing is hubris, just ego. I'm here and I'm gonna help people. You have to put that really in check. You have to put that in check. You're as the missionary, you have a particular purpose you're sent, and if you stay humble, because you're required to, and in our walk we're required to, but it's especially difficult to do that. And you're different, and if you come with when people perceive you as having means, things generally change. And so a missionary sometimes will be seen as dollar bills. I had someone tell me, and this is someone who, we got to know, my wife and I, very, very well. And she admitted, despite hearing us talk with young adult groups, Bible study, this or that, and we would discuss matters of faith all the time, she ended up saying, we had a small group over our house, she goes, Stilian, sometimes I just get that thought, oh yeah, you're from America, well of course you have money. And I'm thinking, wow, we know, we've known her for so long, and yet that still persists. So again, there's that temptation. Oh, well, I have means because I'm here in a poor country. Nope, got to check that at the door. Put that right out of your head. This kind of stuff. I'm going to say that was one of the greatest temptations as a missionary. That you get this God complex. It has to be checked. Humility is the first virtue.
Well said. And Dominique, who closes us out?
I was just going to ask about the I know like pre-COVID, that was different, times, I would say. But like with getting vaccinations, just things to prepare for, like some people didn't get the vaccine and are against the vaccines. And, how does that work right now for us moving forward? As far as getting vaccinations, are we able to not get these vaccinations? Or
soft tones, so I have no idea what the question was.
All right. Basically, she wants to know, how do vaccinations factor into to missions prep? Like, for example, particularly with the COVID, some people didn't get and are against the vaccine, so that they're not going to have that. And then, but even other vaccines, like what's required vaccination-wise medically to even be on a missions team?
It's directly dictated by the country you're going to visit. We don't have a rule set for that. Okay. If you're going to, there's 2 parts of Europe where you need 11 vaccinations, and they need to be done 6 months in advance of you even entering the country. But we don't. That's not our profile. We don't do anything with that. We will check. We will tell you what you need. We work with the countries of origin that you're going to, and say, okay, this is the list of things you have to have. And this is how your passport needs to be presented, and so on. And that's the requirement. And if you don't make those requirements, we can't send you, because if we do, they'll send you home. Okay? But that's not on us. That's on the country where you're going. Okay?
From our experience, it was not indicated that we were required to be vaccinated to enter Albania. So I didn't mention that when I was offering earlier, like the discernment process for my wife and I. The great eagerness and anticipation we had to put our feet down and begin ministry the way that we were called. And we didn't want to be held back by anything in regards to that. And so we were willing, as it were, not to get vaccinated in order to get out there, knowing that there was some risk there, and knowing that they would accept us whether vaccinated or not, because they didn't fall in any particular way. And the Albanians handled COVID in vastly different ways than we experienced in the States. So that's what I'll offer from my experience. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, thank you. I want to thank Deacon Steve and Mr. Pat Crosson for an excellent retreat this weekend, gentlemen. So thank you, everybody. I want to thank you all for coming and for having such thoughtful questions. It was an excellent discussion, great way to cap off the weekend, and I think all of us have got a lot to think about and a lot to plan for. Right now it is about 2:46. We're going to go ahead and move the screen and the projectors over to the side, and we'll get started with 9th hour. So in about 3-4 minutes, give us time to just move that, and then we'll get